In this video, we're going to be talking about identifying correlations. So correlations, that really just helps describe the relationship between data sets. So it tells us whether there's a positive, a negative, or there's no correlation. And you can use a scatter plot to describe the correlation between data. So the first one, the positive correlation, that is whenever as x increases, y increases. And so as my x value gets bigger, my y value is also getting bigger. And you can really tell this because it's going to have a positive slope. So if I were to draw a line through all these points, this has a positive slope. Negative correlation, however, is when as x increases, y decreases. The biggest value of y is going to be at the lowest value of x. Another way you can notice this is that it has a negative slope if I draw a line through it. And then no correlation is going to be when the points show no pattern. So let's look at some examples. So I want to tell whether the data shows a positive, negative, or no correlation. So looking at this first one, I see these points are kind of scattered all over the place. They don't really make a line, kind of like these do, not even a rough line. So because of that, this is going to be no correlation. And again, that's because the points show no pattern. Okay, now looking at this next one, I'm looking at temperature and coat sales at a store. So I see this one is definitely making a line, and so if I were to draw a line through all of it, I see this has a negative slope. I also notice as my x value gets bigger, the y values on my points are getting smaller, and so that means that this one is negative. So we see as the average temperature increases, the number of coats sold decreases. And so that makes sense. As it's getting hotter outside, people are going to be buying less coats. Okay, now for this next one, we're going to be practicing what we did in yesterday's video. We're going to make a scatter plot of the data, and then we're going to look at it and tell whether the data shows a positive, negative, or no correlation. So this first one, I'm looking at temperature outside and attendees, y. So going to Desmos, like we did yesterday, I want to click on Add Item, and I'm going to click on Table. And now I'm going to go ahead and input all of those x values first, starting with 82. Okay, and then now I'm going to input all the y values, and I'll make sure I start at 4.5 since I know 4.5 goes with 82. So 4.5, 4, 1.7, 5.5, 3.8, 2.9, 4.7, and 5.3. Okay, so I made my table, but as you notice, I don't see any points over here. So the reason why is because my x values are so big. So I need to make sure I zoom out by clicking this minus sign. And now I see all these points showing up. So I'm going to go ahead and click and drag. And then now I'm going to go ahead and zoom back in so I can see those points better. Okay, so now I see all of my points from my scatter plot. And I notice as my x increases, my y is also increasing. And also if I were to draw a line, I notice this will have a positive slope. So that means that this one has a positive correlation. Okay, go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to try and do the same thing with number 2. Okay, so your answer for number 2 should have been negative. When I went and graphed this, I noticed that as my x value increases, my y value was decreasing, and I see it has a negative slope if I were to draw a line through it. So that means as a car gets older, the value of it is going to decrease, which makes sense. And up here, as the temperature outside gets warmer, you're going to have more attendees, which also makes sense. Okay, that is it for today. If you have any questions, you can inbox me. If you need some extra examples, those are linked below. Otherwise, I hope you all have a great day.